Commander Yunhai walked through the long hallways of Haven's Rest. The space station was huge, bigger than most cities on Earth. Every day she saw the same wonderful sight. Children from many different worlds played together, laughed together, and learned together. The morning light from Earth's sun came through the big windows. In the garden section, a small human girl named Lisa was teaching a young Zephyrian boy how to grow tomatoes. The boy's blue skin sparkled as he carefully watered the plants. His people came from a cold planet, but he loved the warm gardens on the station. "Commander Hai," called out Dr. Kim Do from the medical center. He was checking on a group of new children who had arrived yesterday. The little ones from Proxima Colony are doing well. They're scared, but they're eating and sleeping. Hai nodded and smiled. These children had lost their parents when space pirates attacked their mining colony. Now they were safe. Haven's Rest was their new home until families could adopt them or until they grew old enough to choose their own path in life. In the education wing, teacher Lee Su was reading a story to 30 children. They sat in a circle and their eyes were wide with wonder. Some had fur, some had scales, and some looked just like humans. But they were all just children who wanted to hear a good story. Captain Park Jin watched everything from the security center. His job was to keep the station safe, but it was not a hard job. Haven's Rest had very few weapons. Everyone in the galaxy knew this place was special. It was neutral territory. Even the most violent species respected the station's mission. "Captain," said Officer Han Bo, looking at his computer screen. "We have 6 new ships coming in today. 2 from the outer colonies, 3 from the Mars system, and 1 from the Jupiter moons." Jean looked at the schedule. All approved humanitarian transports. The ship from Europa has 40 children who survived the factory explosion. The ones from Mars are war orphans from the border conflicts. Every day was like this. Ships arrived with children who had nowhere else to go. Haven's Rest took them all. The station had room for 50,000 and it was almost full. But they always made space for one more child who needed help. In the cafeteria, lunchtime was always noisy and happy. Children spoke in dozens of languages. The food was simple but good. There was always enough for everyone. Cook Seo Min made sure that every species got food they could eat safely. A teenage human boy named Jake was helping a small alien girl reach the fruit on a high shelf. The girl had 6 arms but was still too short. Jake lifted her up so she could grab an apple. She chirped happily in her own language and Jake understood she was saying thank you. "You know," Jake said to his friend Tom, "when I first came here 3 years ago I thought I would hate it. I missed my mom and dad so much." Tom was from Titan Colony. His parents died in a transport crash. "Me too. But now this feels like home. Look at all these kids. They're like our brothers and sisters now." Commander Hai often thought about how special this place was. In the rest of the galaxy, different species fought wars, competed for resources, and sometimes hated each other. But here, children from enemy worlds played together every day. They proved that peace was possible. The station ran on a simple rule that everyone followed: protect the children no matter what. The adults who worked here came from many backgrounds. Some were former soldiers, some were teachers, some were doctors. But they all believed in the same thing. As evening came, Captain Jean did his daily security check. The defense systems were basic. A few pulse cannons, some shield generators, nothing that could threaten a real warship. Haven's Rest depended on its reputation, not its weapons. "Sir," Officer Han Bo said quietly, "long-range sensors are picking up something strange." Jean looked at the display. Far away, moving toward their location, was a fleet of ships. The computer identified them as belonging to the Keth Empire. But there was something wrong. These ships were not on the approved visitor list. "How many ships?" Jean asked. 12. "All of them are big warships. They're coming fast." Jean felt cold fear in his stomach. The Keth Empire had always respected Haven's Rest before. Their leader had even sent a message last year praising the station's humanitarian work. Why were they approaching with warships? "Alert Commander Hai," Jean said. "And start the emergency communication system. Something is very wrong." Outside the security center, children were getting ready for bed. They brushed their teeth, said goodnight to their friends, and went to sleep feeling safe and loved. They had no idea that 12 warships were racing toward their peaceful home. The calm before the storm was ending. The first blast hit Haven's Rest without any warning. Commander Yunhai was drinking coffee in her office when the whole station shook. The lights went out for a moment, then the emergency red lights came on. "What was that?" she said into her communication device. Captain Park Jin's voice came back, full of fear and anger. "We're under attack. 12 Keth warships just opened fire on us. They didn't even send a message first." I ran toward the command center. In the hallways, she could hear children crying and asking questions. The older kids were trying to calm down the younger ones. Teacher Lee Soo was moving a group of small children toward the emergency shelters. "Why are they shooting at us?" asked a little human girl with tears in her eyes. "I don't know, sweetie," Lee Soo said. "But we're going to keep you safe." Another explosion rocked the station. This one was much stronger. Parts of the outer hull were breaking apart. Air was escaping into space through the cracks. Gene was working fast at his control panel. "Emergency bulkheads are sealing automatically. But they hit our main power core. We're losing life support in sections 7 through 12. How many children are in those sections?" I asked. 8,000, Officer Han Bo said quietly. I felt sick. The Keth ships were not just attacking random targets. They were hitting the areas where the most children lived. This was not an accident or a mistake. They were trying to kill as many children as possible. "Start the evacuation pods," Hai ordered. "Get as many children out as we can." The escape pods were small ships that could carry about 50 people each. Haven's Rest had 60 pods, but that was only enough for 3,000 people. The station had 50,000 children and 5,000 adults. Dr. Kim Do was helping load children into the pods. His hands shook as he lifted a small alien boy who could not walk. The boy's big eyes looked up at him trustingly. "Doctor," the boy said in his squeaky voice, "are we going on a trip?" "Yes," Kim Do said, trying to smile. "A short trip. You'll be safe soon." But Kim Do knew the truth. Most of the children would not make it to the pods. The Keth ships were targeting the pod launch bays too. Cook Seo Min was carrying 2 human babies toward pod bay 3. Behind her, a teenage alien girl was leading 5 younger children. The girl's home planet had been destroyed in a war 2 years ago. Now she might die trying to save others. "Hurry," Seo Min called. "This way." Another explosion. This one was very close. The floor cracked and smoke filled the air. Some children fell down. The older ones helped the younger ones get up and keep moving. Captain Jean launched the first group of pods. 15 small ships flew away from Haven's Rest as fast as they could. But 3 pods never made it. Keth fighters shot them down like they were nothing. "Monsters," Jean whispered. "They're killing children." In Pod Bay 2, Commander Hai was putting children into the last few escape ships. She picked up a small human boy who reminded her of her own son back on Earth. "Commander," the boy said, "will you come with us?" "I have to stay and help more children," she told him. "But you're going to be safe. Someone will take care of you." She put him in the pod and sealed the door. Through the window she could see his scared face. He pressed his small hand against the glass. She put her hand against the glass too from the outside. The pod launched. Hai watched it fly away toward a human patrol ship that had just arrived. At least some children would live. Jin's voice came over the speakers. "All remaining personnel prepare for final evacuation. The reactor core is going to explode in 10 minutes. But there were still 20,000 children trapped in the damaged sections. The doors were jammed. The power was gone. There was no way to reach them. I ran to the communication center. She had to send a message to Earth before Haven's Rest died. "This is Commander Yun Hai of Haven's Rest," she said into the transmitter. "The Keth Empire has attacked our station without warning. They have murdered 35,000 innocent children. The attack was deliberate. They targeted the areas where the most children lived." Another explosion. The station was falling apart around her. "Tell Earth what happened here," she continued. "Tell them that the children died for no reason except that they existed. Tell humanity what the Keth Empire really is." The last escape pod launched with Jean and the remaining adult staff. I stayed behind to send the message until the very end. When Haven's Rest finally exploded, the flash of light could be seen from Earth. For 3 days, every human world went completely silent. No ships moved. No messages were sent. No business was done. Humanity was thinking. Then came the response that changed everything. 3 days after Haven's Rest died, Admiral Lee Min stood in the biggest meeting room on Luna Station. Around the table sat the leaders of every human world, every human company, and every human military force. For the first time in human history they all agreed on something. "The message is simple," Admiral Min said quietly. "The Keth Empire killed 35,000 children. Most of them were under 10 years old. They did this on purpose." Prime Minister Park Soo from Earth leaned forward. "What do we do about it?" "Total war," Min replied. "Not just against their military. Against everything that lets them hurt innocent people ever again." Governor Kim Yu from the Mars colonies nodded. "My people are ready." We've been preparing for something like this for 50 years, even if we hoped it would never happen. What the other species in the galaxy did not know was that humans had been very careful about showing their real strength. When aliens visited human worlds, they saw peaceful farms, small factories, and friendly trading posts. They thought humans were soft because humans chose to build schools and hospitals instead of huge weapons. But humans had learned something important from their long history. The best way to survive was to be ready for war while hoping for peace. CEO Choi Bo from the biggest mining company spoke next. Our asteroid factories have been running at minimum power for decades. We can increase production by 2,000%. The automated systems are already starting up. What about the AI networks? Asked General Won Dal from the outer colonies. They're waking up now, Min said. Every research station, every deep space mining operation, every exploration ship. They all have hidden manufacturing systems that nobody talks about. Dr. Cora, who ran the technology development programs, put up a holographic display. It showed the real size of human industry. Ships started appearing on the map. Factories that had been sleeping began to glow with activity. The Keth think they know us, she said. They've seen our merchant ships and our peaceful diplomats. They don't know about the emergency protocols. What was happening across human space would have shocked the galaxy. On Mars, underground factories that had been making farm equipment suddenly started making warships. On the Jupiter moons, ice mining robots began building missile launchers. In the asteroid belt, tiny mining stations connected together to form huge weapons platforms. Captain So-Ra had survived the attack on Haven's Rest. She sat at the table with bandages on her face. I was there, she said. I saw what they did. They didn't just attack us. They enjoyed it. They targeted the nurseries first. The room went very quiet. The Keth need to learn something, Admiral Min said. When you hurt human children, you don't fight one human world. You don't fight one human government. You fight every human who has ever lived. On Earth, the biggest shipyards had been building passenger ships and cargo haulers. Now they stopped everything else and started making warships. But these were not normal warships. They were built using designs that humans had kept secret for generations. Minister Han Ko from the Defense Department explained the plan. Phase 1, we cut off their supply lines. No food, no fuel, no replacement parts. Phase 2, we take away their ability to build weapons. Phase 3, we make sure they can never do this again. What about their civilians? Asked Governor Lida from the Centauri colonies. We don't hurt them, Min said firmly. We're not like the Keth. But their government, their military, their war machine, all of it ends. The mobilization happened faster than anyone thought possible. Human families said goodbye to their sons and daughters who joined the military. Factories worked day and night. Scientists shared technology they had been developing in secret. But the most frightening thing was how calm humans were about it. There was no panic, no confusion. It was like they had been practicing for this moment their whole lives. On the outer colonies, Farmer Jin Woo watched as his grain storage buildings opened up. Inside were not grain silos but missile construction facilities. His farm had been a weapons factory all along, hidden under fields of wheat. How long have you known? His alien neighbor asked. The neighbor was a peaceful trader who had lived next to Jin Woo for 20 years. My grandfather built this place, Jin Woo said. He told me that someday someone would try to hurt human children. When that day came, we would be ready. Across human space, the same thing was happening. Peaceful colonies revealed hidden shipyards. Quiet research stations activated weapon systems. Trading posts became military bases. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. They could be the kindest, most generous species in the universe. They would share their food, their medicine, and their homes with anyone who needed help. But if you hurt their children, they became something else entirely. Admiral Min looked at the fleet status report. In just 1 week, humanity had gone from having a small defensive navy to commanding the largest war fleet in galactic history. Send the message to the Keth High Command, he said. Tell them the orphans doctrine is now in effect. Total war begins tomorrow. The storm was coming. General Won Sul looked at the holographic map of Keth space. Red dots showed where human fleets had appeared in the last 6 hours. There were hundreds of them, spread across 50 different star systems. Sir, reported Captain Kim Ji, all targets are confirmed. We hit their fuel depots, communication centers, and supply routes at exactly the same time. The Keth Empire was huge, but humans had done something impossible. They had attacked everywhere at once. While the Keth were sleeping, human ships had surrounded every important Keth world. On the bridge of the warship Thunder, Commander Park Min watched as Keth Prime's main military shipyard exploded. The massive space station had been building warships for 300 years. Now it was just burning metal floating in space. Target their ability to make weapons, Min ordered his gunners. Leave the cities alone. We're not here to hurt innocent people. This was what made the human attack so strange. They were not trying to conquer Keth worlds or kill Keth civilians. They were taking apart the entire system that let the Keth Empire fight wars. Admiral Yunda commanded the fleet attacking the Keth logistics network. Her ships moved from system to system, destroying supply depots and fuel stations. Without these, Keth warships could not travel between planets. Admiral, said her aide, Lieutenant So Min, the Keth are trying to move their main fleet to defend their capital. Let them try, Yunda replied. They'll run out of fuel halfway there. And that was exactly what happened. The great Keth battle fleet, which had terrorized the galaxy for decades, stopped moving when their ships ran empty. The humans had cut off their supply lines so perfectly that the mighty Keth navy became sitting ducks. On the planet Keth Prime, High Commander Zak Thor watched in horror as human forces appeared in his home system. But the humans did not attack the planet. Instead, they surrounded the orbital factories where weapons were made. How many ships do they have? Zak Thor asked his aide. We cannot count them all, sir. They keep coming. More appear every hour. What the Keth did not understand was that humans had been building these fleets in secret for 50 years. They had hidden factories throughout human space, making ships and weapons while pretending to be peaceful traders. Captain Lee Bok commanded a small human destroyer attacking a Keth communication station. The station was huge, but it had almost no defenses. The Keth had never imagined anyone would be crazy enough to attack their home territory. Why are they targeting our communication arrays? Asked the captured Keth officer. Because, Lee Bok explained, when you cannot talk to your fleets, you cannot coordinate your attacks. When you cannot coordinate, you cannot fight wars. The systematic destruction continued for weeks. Human forces moved like a machine, taking apart piece by piece everything that made the Keth Empire dangerous. They destroyed weapons factories but left food production plants alone. They attacked military bases but avoided hospitals and schools. General Kim Ho was in charge of the assault on the Keth Empire's main weapons research facility. The huge space station contained the most advanced Keth military technology. But when his forces arrived, they found the station mostly empty. Where is everyone? Asked his second-in-command, Colonel Park Yi. They ran away, Kim Ho said. The Keth scientists know what's coming. They don't want to die for their government's mistake. The human forces captured the research station without firing a shot. Inside they found plans for new weapons that could destroy entire planets. The humans carefully copied all the information, then destroyed the station completely. But the most shocking thing happened when the humans reached the Keth Empire's most secret facility. It was hidden in an asteroid field and it contained something horrible. The Keth had been experimenting on captured alien children, trying to find new ways to cause fear and pain. Commander So Ra, the survivor from Haven's Rest, was part of the team that found this place. When she saw what the Keth had been doing, she understood why the attack on Haven's Rest had been so cruel. They don't just kill children, she reported to Admiral Min, they study how to make children suffer more. This is what we're fighting against. The discovery made every human soldier more determined. They had thought the Keth were just another aggressive empire. Now they knew the truth. The Keth enjoyed hurting the innocent. Within 6 months, the Keth Empire could no longer fight. Their fleets were stranded without fuel. Their factories could not make new weapons. Their communication networks were destroyed. But they were still alive and their planets were undamaged. Admiral Lee Min sent a message to the Keth High Command from his flagship above Keth Prime. This is Admiral Lee Min of the human fleet, he broadcast. You have lost the ability to make war. Your ships cannot move. Your weapons cannot be built. Your armies cannot communicate. He paused, looking down at the planet where billions of Keth civilians lived normal lives. But you are still alive. Your people still have food, water, and homes. This is the difference between us. We do not kill children. The message continued, surrender now and learn what mercy means. Refuse, and we will wait here until your government falls apart by itself. The great Keth Empire had become helpless in less than a year. Two years after the Keth Empire surrendered, Ambassador Nabin stood before the Galactic Council on the planet Nexus Prime. Representatives from 47 different species sat in the Great Hall, all looking at her with new respect and fear. The Haven Protocols are now galactic law, she announced. Any attack on non-combatants, especially children, will trigger humanity's total war response. This is not a threat. This is a promise we make to every child in the galaxy. In the audience, the former Keth High Commander Zach Thor sat quietly. He was no longer a military leader. Now he worked as a construction supervisor, helping to rebuild schools on Keth worlds. Human administrators had given him a choice: help build a better society or spend his life in prison. The Keth Empire no longer existed. The human occupation forces had divided the Keth worlds into smaller, peaceful governments. Each new government had to follow strict rules. No military weapons. No attacks on civilians. No expansion into other territories. But the humans had not been cruel rulers. They brought food to hungry Keth families. They built hospitals and schools. They taught Keth children about other species and other ways of life. Many young Keth were learning that there were better ways to live than through conquest and fear. Captain Park Jean, one of the few survivors from Haven's Rest, walked through the gardens of New Haven Station. The memorial station orbited Earth in the same place where Haven's Rest had been destroyed. It was bigger and more beautiful than the original. "Captain," called out a small voice. A young Keth girl ran up to him, her purple skin bright with excitement. "Look what I grew." She held up a small flower in a pot. Jean smiled and knelt down to look at it properly. "That's beautiful, Kira," he said. "Your grandmother would be proud of you." Kira's grandmother had been one of the scientists who protested against the attack on Haven's Rest. The Keth government had put her in prison for speaking out. Now she lived on New Haven Station, teaching Keth children about peace and kindness. In another part of the station, Dr. Kim Do was checking on a group of new arrivals. These children came from a mining accident on Proxima 7. Their species had blue skin and 4 arms, but they were just as scared and lonely as any human child would be. "It's okay," Kim Do said gently as he examined a little boy's injured arm. "You're safe now. No one will hurt you here." The boy looked up with big scared eyes. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Kim Do replied. "Every human in the galaxy is watching this place. Anyone who tries to hurt children here will have to fight all of humanity." New Haven was different from the original Haven's Rest in important ways. It had strong shields and powerful weapons. Human warships patrolled nearby constantly. But more importantly, every species in the galaxy knew what would happen if they attacked this place. Teacher Lee Su was reading a story to her class of mixed-species children. Today's story was about the old Haven's Rest and the children who had died there. "Why did the bad people attack the children?" asked a small human boy. "Because they thought being cruel made them strong," Lee Su explained. "But they learned that hurting innocent people only made them weak. The whole galaxy turned against them." An alien girl with green fur raised her hand. "My daddy says that humans are scary now." "Humans are only scary to people who want to hurt children," Lee Su said. "For everyone else, humans are the best friends you can have." This was the new reality in the galaxy. Peaceful species felt safer than ever before. They knew that humanity stood guard against those who would target the innocent. But aggressive species had to be very careful about their actions. Admiral Lee Min, now the head of Galactic Child Protection Services, received daily reports from across known space. The number of attacks on civilian populations had dropped to almost zero. When conflicts did happen, all sides were very careful to protect non-combatants. "Sir," reported Captain Soare, "the Vorthan Empire has asked for our help. Pirates have been attacking their colony ships, and there are children on board." "Send the Third Fleet," Min ordered. "Make sure those pirates understand the new rules." The pirates surrendered as soon as they saw human ships approaching. They had heard what happened to the Keth Empire. On New Haven Station, evening was coming. Children from dozens of different worlds were getting ready for bed. They brushed their teeth, said prayers in many different languages, and went to sleep feeling completely safe. Captain Jean walked past the memorial wall where 50,000 names were carved in stone. The names of every child who had died on Haven's Rest were there, along with a simple message: they died so that no child would ever be forgotten. At the bottom of the wall, fresh flowers appeared every day. They came from children across the galaxy who wanted to remember the ones who were lost. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity would share their food, their medicine, and their homes with anyone in need. They would teach, heal, and protect without asking for anything in return. But if you hurt their children or anyone's children, you would discover that humans could be the most dangerous species in the universe. The children were safe now. That was all that mattered.